Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Introduction to Microeconomics at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is explain or kind of show a demonstration of how to calculate total product and marginal product. I'm going to show you basically in this example that I've created, this sample table. This is very similar to what you're having to do for problem 8.2 on page 157 in the textbook for the chapter 7 and 8 assignment. Okay, so on this particular question or problem on the assignment, it's going to give you a 3-column table where it shows units of the variable resource, total product, and marginal product, very similar to this example that I'm showing here. These aren't the same numbers in the book though. Basically what it's doing is it's showing you some of the total products that you need to calculate marginal product, and then it's showing you some of the marginal product values that you'll use to calculate total product. And so what you'll do is, and I do want you to show your work on this, show your calculations, but basically what you're going to do is calculate the marginal product in the third column there, and then these two items here for the third unit of the variable resource and the fourth, you're going to need to use the marginal product values that it gives you here to calculate total product. Okay, basically what you would do here is, of course, if you remember from what you learned in the textbook, total product is just the sum of all the individual marginal products for however many units of the good that you're looking at, or units of the variable resource. And then marginal product is the change in total product as you move from one unit of a variable resource to the next. Okay, so let me scroll down here just a little bit. This is basically what I'd like to show you here as far as how you're going to calculate each of these. Of course, to get the marginal product for 0 units of the variable resource, which is that very first column, you can't calculate marginal product for that 0 units because you haven't actually employed any units of that resource. So you're just going to put a hyphen or a mark there to indicate that that is something you can't calculate. Okay, the first marginal product value that we can actually calculate is when we move from 0 units to 1 unit of the variable resource. And in this case, you'll notice the total product changed from 0 to 10. So we know that the marginal product is whatever our total product is now minus what it was with the previous unit. So it'd be 10 minus 0, which is 10. Okay, so our marginal product, and for that first unit of the variable resource, your total product is always going to be the same as your marginal product because you've only employed 1 unit of the variable resource. Okay, all right. Now, to get the marginal product for the second unit of the variable resource, very simple. You're just going to take whatever the total product is now with that second unit minus what it was with the first unit. So it'll be 22 minus 10. So the marginal product is 12. Okay. And again, I do want you to show, just like I've done here in this example, I want you to show on your assignment, I want you to show the actual calculations that you're doing to get those numbers. Don't just type in the number there. I want you to actually show how you're calculating those values. Okay. So 22 minus 10 is 12. Now, on the third unit, instead of giving you the total product and having you calculate marginal product, it's doing the opposite. So it's giving you the marginal product values in that third column, and then you're going to need to figure out the total product. So, very simple. For total product, you're just going to look at what the total product was for the previous unit, right? For 2 units in this case, which was 22, plus the marginal product value that they give you for the third unit. So it'd be 22 plus 14, which is 36. Okay, so the total product here is 36. All right, now on the fourth unit, they do the same thing. They give you the marginal value, and you have to calculate the total value. So in this case, it would be the same way that we did that for Unit 3. So for Unit 4, we would look at what the total product was for Unit 3, which was 36 that we calculated just a minute ago, plus the marginal product value that they give you for Unit 4. So 36 plus 12 is 48. So the total product is 48. All right. Then that last row for the fifth unit of the variable resource, it goes back to what it did at the beginning of the table here. It gives you the total product value, and you have to figure out what the marginal product is. So in this case, we're going to take whatever the total product is now minus what the total product was before this fifth unit. In other words, what it was with the fourth unit. So 58 minus 48 is 10. So the marginal product of that fifth unit of the variable resource is 10. Okay? All right. And down here at the bottom, below this table, I've given you the formula for marginal product. It's very simple, just a change in total product as each unit of the variable resource is added. And then total product is also very easy, just the sum of the marginal product values of the units of the variable resource added. Now, one other thing that it's going to ask you to do on this problem, and something I've done here on my example as well, is after looking at these marginal product values, calculating these, it's going to want you to determine where diminishing marginal return sets in. Okay, if you remember from what you learned in chapter 8, it talks about the law of diminishing marginal returns, and so we need to know where it sets in. Between which units it sets in when we look at this table. And of course, you're going to need to do it on the table that you complete for the assignment question. But here, basically, you just look at these values. So from moving from 0 to 1, we had a marginal value of 10. Then it goes up to 12 when we move to the second unit. Then it goes to 14, so it's still increasing. So we know that we're still experiencing increasing marginal returns all the way through the third unit. But now, you look between the third and fourth unit of the variable resource, it goes from 14 to 12. So that's where the marginal, diminishing marginal return sets in, is between the third and fourth units of the variable resource. And that's the way that you're going to need to tell me that in your answer. Don't just tell me a particular unit. The diminishing marginal returns always sets in between one unit and the next. In other words, when we move from the third unit to the fourth unit of production, that's where we're going to experience that diminishing marginal returns. So make sure that you give me both values there. Between, for example, in this case, between the third and fourth unit. Now, on the one in the textbook that you're doing for your assignment, it may be something else. It may be between the second, third, or fourth and fifth. So you'll have to use the same process that I went through here to figure out where diminishing marginal returns set in. Okay? All right. So hopefully this will help you to work through that particular problem on your assignment. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know. But again, make sure that you take your time on this and show all your work. Don't just give me the calculated values. Show how you got those by showing me your calculations, just like I've done here. All right? And once you get the table completed, you can just copy and paste it into your assignment. And then, of course, you'll have to write at the bottom below the table, where diminishing marginal return sets in, because that's another question there that you'll have to include as part of your assignment. All right. So, like I said, just let me know if you have questions about this. It's actually fairly simple. Once you do it a couple of times, it's very, very easy. But if you do have questions, just let me know, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.